Hello, well, we're back with the next card in the Mythic Tarot Major Arcana, which is Temperance. And when I first started doing tarot, I used to think, what does temperance actually mean? It's like, I don't really understand what that word means. The card is beautiful. The card is this lovely, gorgeous, winged goddess with her rainbows and her lovely cups. It's like, but what does temperance actually mean, and what's it got to do with her? And, you know, when you I really like etymology, and I really love looking at the kind of, you know, the roots of words, the history of words and all that kind of stuff. And so temperance basically means avoiding excess. It means moderation. It means having restraint. And, you know, that can be, and it means being balanced. It's quite interesting after justice, with the kind of balance that justice have. And justice, the justice card and temperance are at the same time completely opposite, but they do complement each other. Because, you know, you do have the cool kind of objective kind of mind, you know, way of seeing that justice does. And temperance is all about feeling. It's all about the flow of emotions and feeling, but still integrating the feeling. So when you've got, to begin with, it's like, oh, okay, abstinence, or avoiding excess, or being restrained, or, you know, having moderation. It's like, oh, okay. And then it came to be known a little bit more like being mild and gentle, you know, having a gentle nature, which obviously this character here, which we shall now explore, has in massive abundance. So the card of Temperance in this Mythic Tarot deck is represented by the goddess Iris, goddess of the rainbow. Such a beautiful card, isn't it? And she is passing water between a golden chalice and a silver chalice. And the gold and silver chalice here represent kind of those opposites, like the sun and the moon. The gold would be the sun, the silver and the moon, and the masculine, therefore, and the feminine, the conscious and the unconscious, logic and intuition. So when you first start looking at the symbolism of the card, it's like, okay, there's a beautiful landscape behind. There's rainbows. Rainbows are always something that people love. And there she is in her beautiful robes, again, of kind of purity, with her black hair and her wings. And she's standing half in water and half on the land, which is a sign, representative, symbolic of integrating, you know, integrating the water element and the earth element, and bringing these two different elements together and managing to balance them and hold them at the same time. So Temperance was maybe still is, what do you mean was? You know, she's up there right now, isn't she? You see the rainbow. I always say hello Iris when the rainbows come out. So Temperance, I shouldn't say temperance. Iris was known to be a messenger goddess. Iris was the kind of personal assistant, if you like, to Hera, the goddess Hera. And Iris was known to be a messenger between the heavens and the earth, the godly divine realms and the earthly realms. And Iris could pass with great grace and ease through air and water, and just kind of, she could either appear in like an etheric form, like a spirit form, or she could basically take on a human form when she was on earth. She was the goddess that when the gods came back to Olympus after being out ransacking and doing all kinds of mental things like they always did, she was the one that kind of took their horses and put them away and gave them hay and food, and also furnished the gods with nectar, ambrosia, and no doubt some kind of alcoholic wine that got them all mental, because you can't, like, maybe it's like some, like that madness of King George. Maybe there was some strange kind of thing that grew on the nuts in Olympus, and they all sent them a bit mad, made them have hallucinations. But Iris was known, she was loved by everybody. She was kind-natured, loving, and even though she was Hera's kind of personal assistant, she did sometimes carry out not so nice tasks when Hera was on one of her vengeful moments. Vengeful goddess. Hey, well, look at Kali, look at Sekmet, the dark feminine. So what is this card about? Oh, there's these little flowers at the bottom as well. I mean, normally they are irises, and they definitely are irises at the bottom there. So it's all Iris, goddess of the rainbow, messenger between heaven and earth, messaging between opposites. Okay. So think about what the card is. It's mildness, gentleness, but kind of restraint, moderation. The card of Temperance is this. Look at the flow of water. It is the flow between emotional states, that constant flow that we must all master between ourselves. It is the realm of feeling. It is emotion and feeling. And Iris is passing this water from one aspect to another, and while that water is in mid-flow, it is obviously experiencing everything in between. And the card of Temperance is about bringing, again, it's about relationship. So the card of Temperance, I should have said this at the beginning to make it clearer, the fact that she's a bridge between heaven and earth. Okay, it's like she's a bridge for us between our conscious, our unconscious, our spiritual, our earthly. Iris is a goddess that really comes into her power when it comes to relating. Everybody loved her. She was allowed to go into the underworld to get water from the river Styx, and she just flowed where normal immortals fear to go. Iris just went with the flow, and kind of there was no blocks or obstacles. And this card is about, I personally think it's like about integration with the self. It is the integration of your emotions. It is the acceptance and the understanding of your positive emotions and your negative emotions, and acknowledgement of the positive and negative emotions, and the flowing, the healing that takes place when you allow things to flow. And that could be talking about stuff, it could be writing stuff, it could be discussing, it could be singing, it could be anything, but it's a state of flow in your emotions. And this card is very much to do with relating and relationships and kindness and all that lovely stuff, and having balance. And the difference between this and the Justice card, whereas Justice is that, logical, kind of truth-seeking, objective, detached kind of seeking the truth and still integrating the light and the dark, you'll find that Iris is the feely, the water, the emotions, the feeling it, the kind of, the really recognizing the power in, again, that development of emotional intelligence within yourself. And I always think, when you have emotional intelligence within the self, it spreads to everyone around you. It not spreads, but you no longer react, get triggered. You just take responsibility, and you realize what's your stuff and what isn't your stuff, and what other people are projecting onto you or projecting into a space at work. It's very, very helpful when you can just understand what you are, where you're at, what you're dealing with, and then that, like I said, that whole different thing of justice, which is they complement each other. Justice is the kind of father. Justice, Athena serves her father. She springs out of his head and serves her father. And Temperance is the personal assistant, the handmaiden, if you like, to Hera. So it's the mother. And so these two cards are quite complementary but very different, regarding what they seek. So when you're looking at this card, I really do think of integration and that whole kind of, look at her standing there and totally just in her own power, in her own beautiful power. And the fact that what I really like about this card, she's dressed in white. And the sun is coming through on the Rider-Waite. Obviously, the sun is there because you've got the water. The sun hits the water, and then you get the prism. It's almost in this card like she is the prism herself. It's like she knows when you are the prism yourself. When light hits you and all your colours come out, and you are the rainbow, and you can remain kind and loving. I'm into the dark goddess. I'm all out for a bit of rage and expressing the darkness that we live with. But, in power, in your personal power, and here she is, it's like, it's just like, wow. So you can see that, whereas justice is fair and whereas justice is about being fair and balanced and objective, like I say, Iris is about kindness and merciful. And there's an aspect here about being merciful to yourself, merciful to your own healing and your own development, your own personal evolving, that you basically rise above, yourself. It's always about us. It's always our relationship with ourself. And, just disentangling and unhooking any lines and pulls and fishing rod kind of feelings that other people have. It's all about just like, I'm not going to be, kind of reeled in by that person. I'm not accepting that. And I think this Temperance card is very much that. It starts with the relationship with the self. That's where it always starts, relating to yourself. And then you can work on the relationship with others. Because if you're expecting others to fulfill something that you haven't worked on yourself, well, it just won't work, will it? It's this lovely flowing from cup to cup, and this, this beautiful state of being and calmness. And, when this card comes up in a reading, again, always think of like, okay, what are they asking? What's the situation? What is the relationship? Is this card saying about relating to the self? They need to get more in touch with the self. Is the card saying, because it's all about relating, is it about, okay, there just needs to be because there's always, it's a bit like astrology. There's always two sides to it, isn't there? Because, okay, this card can go, oh, lovely, here's Temperance in a reading. Oh, great, I mean, lovely balance and flow in relationships and lovely harmony and, great cooperation. But it's about communication as well. I mean, there might be a need for this. This might be the point. So whatever they're asking you is like, there might be a need to sit down and be honest about your emotions, be honest about how you're feeling. Be honest about your joy, share your joy and share your not so joy. It is about communicating. And again, I sound like a stuck record, but it's all about communicating with the self. That's where it starts. But if you see this in a reading, like you will, then it's like, okay, here's the balance, here's the flow of emotions. Here she is, the messenger, the bridge. Okay, that's another thing. Communication is a bridge. It's a really good bridge to kind of open up everything from your pets to your kids to your your beloved to your co-workers, And again, you can still do all that, and people are dealing with all their own stuff. And so you might not get back anything that you would like or you expect, because people are stuck in their own rigidity. And unless they're doing their work and going, wow, God, I'm being such a B, C, or D. This is unacceptable. I don't want to be like this. I don't want to be like my, whoever they don't like, who they start them, copying, and using them as a role model, as a negative role model. So Temperance is a beautiful card. It's all, and like I say, remember the etymology. It's all about mildness, gentleness, and restraint. It's not the dark goddess. It is the antithesis of the dark goddess. It is the light. It is the love. It is the kind, loving, easy-going. Everyone loves to have around, because again, she's very serving. She's a server. She, gives the nectar and the goodies when they come back with their sweaty kind of highly probably immoral afternoons goings on. Anyway, that's kind of Temperance, quite straightforward. I mean, I know where she comes from. I won't kind of go for that. It's kind of I know that she ends up getting together with the west wind. Imagine having a wind for your partner. It's kind of like, okay, blowing off today then, and you're galing around tomorrow. Okay. So anyway, that's it. Seems quite easy, doesn't it? I don't really know what else to say there. So there we go. If I think of anything to say, I'll do a little add-on at the end. But thank you for joining me again, and I'll see you soon. And lovely, the lovely next card of strength. So again, this is one of these, like I say, it's one of those 4 moral cards, and the moral, what I should say before I go is that it's again the Fool's Journey, about harmonizing the heart, the emotional balance between the heart, and that actually is probably a good point to say, that that harmonizing of the heart and the emotions, and not letting one override the other. I mean, crikey, it's not easy, is it? Especially being on Earth, being triggered constantly by the nutcases in charge. La la la. I will leave it there. Thank you so much for joining me, and see you again soon. Take care. Bye bye.